Hi everybody, welcome to Do You Believe on ParanormalZoneTV. Hey, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. And if any of the new viewers that are here in the show tonight, if you would please subscribe to the show, I'd really appreciate it, and give the show a like. So everybody, thanks for joining me, and have a wonderful guest. My favorite friend of all is Rob Goutreau, who is returning to the show tonight. And so, so let me say, Rob Goutreau is an author, a medium. He's also a scientist, and he is going to discuss tonight. First, he's going to start the show off with near-death experience, and then we're going to go into the other topics like demons, poltergeists, ghosts, and also are demons extraterrestrials. So with that, everyone, let's welcome Rob to the show. Rob, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me back, Noreen. It's a pleasure to be here.
I always love having you on the show. Now, if you remember, Rob did this show on animals. What was it? It was on animals. Do you remember the title of the show, Rob?
I think it was Pets in the Afterlife.
Yeah, Pets in the Afterlife. That's right. Because, let me show you this. Rob is also the author of Pets in the Afterlife 1, Pets in the Afterlife 2 that has just been released. And what's that? I can't read that third book.
Lessons Learned from Talking to the Dead.
Right. And these books can all be purchased on Amazon. Now, Rob will be returning in a couple of months or so, and we're going to be talking about pets in heaven. And I'll be posting, because I all want you to send me your pets that have passed over, and I will be showing your pet's picture during the show. And I'm really looking forward to that one, Rob. All right, Rob, do you want to tell the viewers anything more about yourself before we start the show?
I consider myself an average guy. I'm just a normal guy that happens to be able to get messages from dead people and pets that have passed. And I don't do it for a living. I actually work in science for a living. So whenever I get messages, I pass them on because I think this is a gift, and I like to use it to help comfort people. I mean, when we've lost someone, whether human or pet, we're all grieving, and we need help getting over that by knowing that they're okay on the other side.
Oh, that's awesome. I know you do a lot of rescue work, too.
I do. My husband and I do rescue work with dachshunds and Weimaraners because we have each of the breed, so we know them. And, they are just the joys of our lives.
Oh, I bet they are. Now, Rob, you told me you wanted to start with near-death experiences before we went into the other topics tonight. So is that what you'd like to start with?
Yeah, that would be a great way to start. I think from there I could explain what happens actually after death, and then we can lead in on to the other topics.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Noreen, before we start, have you ever had a near-death experience?
Well, Rob, I don't know. I don't think this was near death, but let me tell you, I was about 8 years old, and we used to go to the Russian River every year, and there was a bridge across this one section of the river, and there was a sign on there, "You're not to jump off the bridge." And of course there was about 8 of us kids, and do we read the sign or pay any attention to it? No. So we would scoot down on the platform of the bridge, and we would jump in. And I did this several times, but this one particular time, when I went underwater, I guess because of the way the water was going, it was like going and making me go in circles, and I thought I was going to die. I was prepared to die, and I thought, well, I guess this is it. I'm going to die, and I felt like I had been down there for like a half hour, but then a voice came to me, and it said, "Calm down. Just relax and you'll float to the top." And I did, and I floated right to the top. And when I got to shore, everybody was there standing on shore and said, "Oh my God, we thought you were dead. We thought you drowned." What is that?
It may have been a spirit guide that was
Yeah, because I didn't die.
Yeah, we all have spirit guides that help and guide us, and only once in a great, great while will they come to us when we really, really need to hear from them. So maybe that's who it was. Wow, that's pretty scary.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the only time that ever happened to me. So what is a near-death experience?
Well, let me just ask you this. You never jumped off that bridge again, did you?
No, I was scared to death to do it.
Okay.
I went back to the cabin.
Well, I'm glad you learned from your adventure. What a near-death experience is it's actually when people have reported leaving their body. They can actually, their spirit, or their soul, if you will, which is a combination of your memories and your personality, as energy, leaves your body. And people have reported seeing their own body laying in stillness in a bed, and they've actually been able to do what is called astral projections. So they've actually been able to project themselves to other places. So a near-death experience is very much like that. Usually, though, it's associated with an impending death, and it does involve detachment of a spirit. People will experience seeing like a tunnel of light. Sometimes people will reach the end of the tunnel and they'll see a figure there, and they'll be told it's not their time, so they come back. When people have come back, they've reported feelings of levitation. It's always been a very peaceful feeling, though, very serene, very warm, very comforting. And oftentimes, people will say that they didn't want to come back because of how peaceful they felt when they had detached from their physical body. But there's always been a light there. That's the report that they get a lot. And what's interesting about near-death experiences, too, is that usually after a person comes back from a near-death experience, they become more sensitive to ghosts and spirits. And that is because they've already changed over, they've crossed that veil. So it made them more aware of the energies. And sometimes people actually, that come back from near-death experiences and come back into their bodies, have an awareness of people who will pass soon.
They do?
That's kind of strange, yeah.
Oh, I never heard that before, Rob.
Yeah, and you don't have to have a near-death experience either to have an awareness of people who pass. In fact, I have a friend named Sarah who is very in tune with energies, and she said she always seems to get messages or feelings that someone is going to pass, usually within probably 5 to 7 days of the time they pass. And that's one gift that I would be very unnerved to have.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
but
you
Rob,
really want to know exactly when someone's going to pass.
oh no, I wouldn't want to know.
Yeah, I mean, because she said that there's a feeling of helplessness that comes with that, because there's really nothing you know that you can do to change the outcome. So getting back to the near-death experiences and the sensitivity, when people have these near-death experiences, the spirit temporarily leaves the body. So it's like a temporary physical death. And I'm not sure if brainwaves have ever measured like inactivity at that time. I assume that sometimes there is no brainwave activity. But it does form a very personal connection to the spirit world. So that bond is instantly created as soon as the soul basically leaves the physical body. And it brings back some of that energy when the soul re-enters the body. So pretty interesting.
Yeah. Now, I also have watched television. I can't remember what the show was, and this man was talking about he had a near-death experience, but he said he went through blackness and darkness, and he said it was very scary.
Well, yeah, that would be quite scary. Certainly something opposite from what we're used to hearing. I can't explain that. I'm not an expert in near-death experiences, but I've read a lot of them, and I've never heard that before.
Yeah, and of course, I don't know how he feels today. He is probably scared to die now because of his awful experience that he had. Because I understand that when you do have these near-death experiences, you see your loved ones, you see angelic figures, and that, of course, that bright light. Now, some people think that it's just like brain waves. It's your brain that's causing this to happen.
That's right. As a matter of fact, there is conflicting science. And in 2013, Smithsonian Magazine did an article about that. And the article said that the last-second surge of brain activity could explain near-death experiences. They said, basically, the article and the research said that the light at the end of the tunnel may be related to the 30 seconds of activity in a brain after death. And they actually did that experiment with rats in a laboratory environment. And that's what they concluded. They've never done that with humans, though. So, this is all based on rats.
Okay. Go ahead, honey. I'm sorry.
But rats are used typically because they have similar physiology to humans in some reactions. So basically, the bottom line of that study was that there is a final charge to the brain, and many experiences last longer than that, and people do leave their bodies. So there's some conflicting science behind that.
Yeah. Now, I will tell you, I found a fabulous website on near-death experiences last night, and they were, on this one particular page, they were telling people stories of their near-death experience. And now this one is very interesting. This lady was in the hospital. Of course, she was almost dying. And somebody in her family had died, but because she was so ill, they didn't want to tell her that this person had passed on. So this lady that was in the hospital did have a near-death experience. And when she came, and she saw this particular person, Violet or somebody, I don't know if it was a sister or a cousin, and this Violet was with her father. And when she came back and talked about her near-death experience, she said, well, it was really strange. She said, I saw Violet with my father. So where's Violet? And they said, well, we didn't want to tell you, but Violet had died. Now, she did not know this woman had died. Now, that was really strange. So then I got to wondering, well, if something in our brain is causing us to have this, how did she know or see this dead person in her near-death experience, if that's what it was?
Exactly. That's a great question. There's no way that she would have known that. It was simply a reaction of brain activity.
Yeah, that's right. She wouldn't have known that. So now I'm on the edge of this. Really? I mean, really, when you read something like that, I mean, I used to think, well, maybe they were right, but now after reading her story, I don't believe it anymore. I think it must be something real. Now, also, I understand, Rob, that when these people have these near-death experiences, they end up with gifts, like being mediums. They could do remote viewing.
Yes, and that's all because their energy has tapped into the other energies, the energies that basically run through the universe or heaven or whatever you want to call the other side, and that makes us much more sensitive. So as I mentioned before, somebody can predict death, or they can start seeing ghosts or spirits or hearing them. There's all kinds of ways that the gift can be when they come back. So
I also understand that when these near-death experiences happen, that there's no evil or there's no evil that's associated with these.
No, it's everything I've read has been all in the positive.
Excuse me.
There was one case that I did read about a woman named AJ who had a near-death experience, and she was actually a nurse. When she came back from her near-death experience, she actually developed the ability to know when patients were going to pass away. And she likely developed that ability because she could tap into the energies of the patients, and when their energy levels, their spiritual energy levels dropped, she realized that they were going to pass.
You know, I understand that also there's these two ladies that have written a book that are caretakers in a rest home, and they have quite some fabulous stories to tell about that. I want to tell you, I would like to say something, that my brother-in-law had a near-death experience. Now, he would not tell the family. He told my sister, his wife, he told my sister what had happened, but he would not tell the rest of us. You know, I guess he comes from the old school, and he just didn't want to say anything about it. I don't know if he was embarrassed or what it was, but he told her that he had lung surgery. He had cancer, a spot on his lung, and he died. And he said he was floating in the air, and he saw them operating on his body.
Okay.
But my sister didn't tell me much more than that. She didn't tell me if Ricky saw anybody, his parents or any relatives, just that he died and he saw his body from up above, and they were operating on him. Now, when he came out and he came back to life on the operating table, when he came home, when he was released from the hospital, he had really bad diabetes, and he had some other things associated with that. When he came home, there was no signs whatsoever of any other illness. His diabetes had completely disappeared, and everything else that he had associated with diabetes had completely disappeared, Rob.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
I know, but this only lasted for about a month, and then slowly everything started to come back to normal again. And he ended up dying of a heart attack.
Wow. And did he have heart problems too?
Yeah.
He did okay.
Yeah. I guess he did. But so I found that kind of strange too, that his diabetes, I mean, the doctors couldn't understand it. His diabetes was completely gone.
Well, that's probably because he ran into, he experienced all that energy, and it was probably like almost like a cleansing. And when he came back into his body, that energy helped cleanse some of the illness, or at least put it at bay for a while. It's hard to know because it's not an exact science, of course. So.
No. Is there anything else you want to say about near-death experience before you go into your other topics?
Sure. There are a couple of reference places that people who are looking for more information can go to if they want to. One is called the Near-Death Experience Research Foundation, and I think it's nderf.org. And that's an organization that's dedicated to studying near-death experiences and anything related to them. So that's a pretty good website for that. There's another one also called Near-Death Experiences in the Afterlife, and that's near-death.com. So they provide supporting evidence, out-of-body experiences, and other things. So there's lots of information on the internet. Of course, you have to take some of it with a grain of salt because you never know what it is. But check it out.
Okay. Now, Rob, I want to ask you, why did you want to go into near-death experiences before we started talking about demons and ghosts and poltergeists?
Well, because near-death experiences is kind of the precursor to the afterlife. So it's kind of like a teaser. And it's all about energy. So with that, I figured it would be a good way to make a transition into the afterlife and then we can go into the other forms of the afterlife.
All right. Now, do you want to start on? Oh God, I'm dying to find this out, but I don't know at what point you want to start talking about it, because in the paranormal now, everybody is saying that the demons are aliens. Now, when do you want to? At what point would you like to talk about that?
Oh, we could. I think we could talk about that pretty quickly, right after explaining about the energy after people actually pass.
Okay.
So I think that would be a good transition. So just a little bit of basics for everybody. We mentioned before that a spirit is energy. We have a lot of physical energies that run through our bodies, and when our physical bodies die, that energy has to go somewhere. So the energy couples with our memories and personalities, and we make a choice. We make a choice after we pass away. We either stay earthbound as a ghost, and it's typically in a place that we're familiar with or we're accustomed to or we like, or we cross over and join the energies that flow through the universe as a spirit. So it's all about location. Just like buying a house, it's all about location. The energy also plays a role into enabling these entities to power up or strengthen to give us messages. So what do I mean by that? Well, think of a ghost or a spirit as a light bulb that hasn't been turned on. It needs energy, and it gets that energy from a couple of different sources. Both ghosts, earthbound, and spirits who crossed over get them from physical energies like heat, light, water, electricity. But ghosts also draw on negative emotional energy, such as fear, anxiety, anger, depression. Spirits get energy from positive emotional energy, love, faith, and hope. Those are the things that power them. Ghosts also emanate negative energy. So if somebody has a ghost in their house, what's going to happen is a ghost, even though regardless of whatever the personality is of the ghost, it could be a benign ghost, it could be a happy ghost, or it could be a very angry person as a ghost. Doesn't matter. They still emanate negative energy. So that negative energy will influence the living. What do I mean by that? It means that it will cause stress, anxiety, depression, anger to whoever lives in the house. So there'll be more arguments, more discord in the house. That's why if you have a ghost in your house, even though it's not bothering you, the ghost really doesn't belong there. It needs to cross over, and you'll have a happier life. Does that make sense?
Really? Oh, Rob, my house is full of ghosts, honey, but I never, there was times where I could hear them have conversations. I mean, I actually hear them have conversations, but I can't make out what they're saying. And one day I had something on the television, and I guess the ghost liked it because it was talking to it. And I've heard a little girl in my house. When I had a co-host a couple of years ago, Donna Raymond, who was a paranormal sensitive. And when we would do the shows together, without fail, every show we did, on the playback, you could hear voices in the room with us. And that doesn't happen. Very, very seldom does that happen anymore. I'm not sure if they came because she was there, or she just they were attracted to her and she brought in the energy. But it was every show. Every show you could count on hearing these actual voices on the video. But like I said, it very, very rare do I get that anymore. But I can hear spirits at times in my house. And then a couple of weeks ago, at nighttime, I was sitting at the computer, and it was really late, and I should have gone to bed. But I was working on my show, and I was sitting here, and I started to doze off, and all of a sudden, I got punched in my left shoulder. Now, that's the first. Now, I don't know if they were being mean or if they just wanted to wake me up so I would go to bed.
Oh, it very well could be. So do you think that the entity was an earthbound ghost, or do you think it is a spirit that's crossed over that's come back from time to time.
Oh, Rob, I have no idea. I have no idea. I was told I had 23 ghosts in my house.
Wow. I get a feeling, and sometimes I can read energy a lot, even just talking to somebody. I get a feeling that whatever visits your house is actually not earthbound. I think you have a lot of family on the other side, and I think being Italian, I know that we like big parties. Everything is a family affair. So I think a lot of your family members actually drop in to see you, and that little punch or whatever it was on your shoulder was to wake you up to tell you to go to bed, and that to me sounds like a grandfatherly thing. Well,
that is the first. I mean, they've whispered in my ear, they've touched my nose, they've touched my ear, but I never got punched before, and it was a hard punch, and I was really surprised. I didn't know a spirit could do that.
They could if there's enough energy there, and it takes, like I said, it takes a lot of energy. So the love, the positive energy of love would be enough to make you feel the presence of spirit.
Okay. So,
very well could be your
okay.
grandfather when you go to bed.
Okay, so what else do you want to talk about now?
So there are a couple of other things related to ghosts and spirits that are not exactly ghosts and spirits. The one is an orb, and we talked about orbs, I think, last time that I was on, and I don't take a whole lot of stock in orbs. Orbs are basically a ball of light. That is the most simple form a ghost can take. And everybody has different theories on orbs. What I've noticed over time is that an orb most likely is a ghost or a spirit if it has colors or designs in it, or sometimes you can actually even see a face. I'm on the paranormal investigation team, the Inspired Ghost Tracking in Maryland, and we've taken pictures of orbs. And we did get a face in one of them that I published in my second book, rather, Lessons Learned. And it was actually the face of what I believe to be one of the women that was murdered in the home where we were doing an investigation. So you have to be careful with orbs. A lot of times it's dust or reflections or bugs or something like that. But if it has a design in it or colors to it, it very well may be an orb. The other thing that I would like to address are shadow figures or dark entities.
I've seen those.
Yeah, I think that shadow figures are either ghosts or spirits, but they don't have enough energy to visually appear in detail.
Oh, do you think that's what it is?
I think it's like fading in and out. Yeah. I think it's not enough energy to actually come into a clear focus.
Really? So shadow people then you don't believe are dangerous at all?
Well, it all depends on the personality of the ghost. I mean, if it was a bad person in life, he's still going to have that same personality in death. There are ghosts that were pretty evil in life and were afraid to cross over because they feared what was on the other side. So they stayed behind, and that happens a lot. A lot of people actually stay behind that have that come from religious backgrounds because they know that they lived a bad life, and they're afraid to face what's on the other side. So they stay here on Earth as a ghost, and they can be pretty nasty people. I remember being in. I visited Scotland a couple of years ago, and there was a cemetery there, and there is one ghost that haunts part of the cemetery, and he's a nasty fella. But apparently he was a nasty guy in life, too.
Oh, yeah, that's what they say. Yeah.
So yeah, shadow figures, I think, are just ghosts or spirits that don't have enough energy to manifest in detail. As for dark entities, I think that I would categorize those as shadow figures. unless you want to categorize them as like a bad mother-in-law.
So the dark entities, that's what you refer to as the shadow people. And there's also those hooded people. Oh, let's see, there's Shadow Man, and there's another one besides Shadow Man. The top hat man. Have you heard about the man that wears the top hat? Hat Man, that's it, Hat Man. He's supposed to be really dangerous.
No, I've not heard of him. I have to check with my friend Mike Ricksecker.
Oh, Mike! Mike was on last week. Yeah.
I know, I heard it.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Well, I had Heidi Hollis on, and she's written a book on Hat Man and on the shadow people, and she said that the Hat Man is extremely dangerous. I did. Somebody asked me one time. He said that when he would go to sleep at night, he would kind of he felt like somebody was in the room, and he would kind of like open up his eye, and there's this black thing standing right over his bed, and it scared him. But I think when he opened up his eye, that shadow, dark figure got off of him and then and walked out through the kitchen where there was a light on, and he saw him disappear. So I'm assuming it was a Shadow Man.
So is this Hat Man just a fixed in one area, or
I can't remember. I can't remember what she said about him, but she said he's really evil. He's really evil, and he happens to wear a hat. Now, I told her the experience that I had in my house, and nobody could ever tell me what it was, but it had a hood over its head, not a hat. And she said it was Hat Man, but he didn't have a hat. He had a hood.
So it sounds like to me that she's saying that there's another kind of breed of dark.
Yes.
Okay.
And like I said, she wrote a book on it.
Fortunately, I've never experienced one of those.
Oh.
I hope I don't. Yeah, well, I tend to put general categories on beings in the afterlife. Either ghost or spirit, and that's why I say dark entities likely fall into both categories, because it's just all about energy. It's like if you turn a light bulb on, like with a dimmer switch, and you only turn it up a little bit, you can't really see all the detail in the light bulb. That's what I think a dark entity is, whether it be a ghost or a spirit. You can only get so much energy in there, so you can't really make out the detail. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, because I saw one on the USS Hornet, a very haunted battleship, aircraft carrier. And when I was walking down the hall, I was looking for my team members, because I used to have a paranormal team. And when I looked up, I believe it was a male, because females weren't on that ship. And he was looking out through the doorway. And he had a baseball cap on his head, but he was all black. And I looked up and I saw him, and it looked up at me, and then he disappeared when we touched eyes,
Wow. Okay. Well, there are so many ships that have ghosts on them. We have one in Baltimore's Inner Harbor that's I think it was in Pearl Harbor at the time of the bombing.
Oh.
During World War II. And I walked on that ship, and I heard voices, and I sensed a couple of ghosts walking around in there, and I tried to cross them over. But it's hard to cross somebody over when you have other people in the general public walking behind you, thinking that you're out of a tree.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I think there was one ghost that appeared as a shadow in there as I was walking through. And fortunately, I was with a friend who knows, that I have this ability to sense them. So he was cool with it, but the married couple behind us was not.
A lot of people are afraid of ghosts, and they don't even want to be around somebody that talks about them.
Yeah, well, I tell people that ghosts or spirits, they were just people or pets. They're no different than we are. They just don't have a body.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
They still have their personalities and their memories, though. And some of them can be quite feisty.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, just to get off topic for a minute, I'll tell you one of my favorite kind of funny stories is I was going to a medium event for my friend Barb Mallon, and my husband and I were driving in our truck, and it was a small truck, a small pickup truck, and we both looked at each other because we both thought the other passed gas. And we didn't. It was neither one of us. And because I looked at him and I said, was that you? And he said, that's rude. Was that you? No. And suddenly I heard this guy in my head, and he said, my name is Larry. And he said, I used to love walking around the kitchen in my boxer shorts and passing gas because it used to tick my wife off. She's going to be there tonight. Well, Larry, I could have done without the olfactory set. Yeah, their personalities, so. Well, if you're ready, we can transition into the more serious, the darker side, I guess.
Oh, yeah. My viewers, we all like the darker side. Except for Pets are number one, and then the darker side's number two.
Okay, well, we'll do the pet thing in a couple months.
Yes. In May. Okay. Can we please, I'm dying to find out, what is your opinion on demons and aliens?
Well, that's a great segue because I believe that they are one and the same. Before we go into that,
okay,
exactly, I want to define a demon. A demon is supposed to be defined as a fiend of the supernatural. It's someone that's often malevolent. A demon is usually found in religion or occultism, mythology, or folklore. So they've been around a long time. But nobody really ever knew what their origin was. They just didn't look like people. And I think that's the scary part about demons. So I think we can say that demons are entities that never had a mortal or human form. So what would you call something that never had a form that you recognize? I would call it extraterrestrial. Something alien or extraterrestrial.
But they always refer to as demons as fallen angels.
Well, you can also call angels extraterrestrial.
Okay, I've heard that too.
Because when you think about this, anything that we don't know, that we have never experienced in life on Earth, is likely from somewhere else. And I want you to think about this in terms of, we'll get into the sciencey side in a minute. When we pass as spirit or ghost, we have the ability to transition into energy. We transition into energy. We have the ability to go anywhere in the cosmos that we can. And when you think about it, there are so many energies that flow through the cosmos. Gamma rays, X-rays, cosmic rays, all kinds of things. And they go on and on and on at the speed of light. So if we can go from our galaxy to another galaxy, who's to say that whatever living thing in another galaxy can't come to our galaxy? Does that make sense?
Yeah. The thing a bit, there's so much, Rob, about this that they're saying also that the aliens are actually, the ones that we are seeing are actually here, living underground, living under the water, living in caves or whatever. They say those are the ones that are here. They're actually not the ones that are coming in and out of the atmosphere because it would take so long for them to get here. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I don't know anything about aliens living here, but I do know that energy can move very quickly at the speed of light. So, and considering how old the cosmos is, 13.5 billion years old, they've had enough time to travel. So, so that's why I don't know anything about the aliens on Earth. So I focus on the aliens that are likely out there in the cosmos. And if we think that we're the only life form anywhere in the universe, I think that's pretty. I don't know. I think that's pretty arrogant, really. And here's why. We've already discovered that there is water underground the surface of Mars. Under the surface of Mars. We've also discovered that there's ice on Pluto. And those things just happened this past year. And water vapor and carbon are the two ingredients necessary for life. And silicon. So those are wherever those things are, there's an opportunity to have life. So what I will say is that we've already discovered a lot of exoplanets. The first exoplanet, which is a planet basically orbiting another star, was discovered in 1995 by a gentleman in Switzerland, and it was a planet the size of I think it was the size of Jupiter. It's like 150 times the size of Earth. And since then, we've been able to use a lot of different methods to find planets. So, if there are so many planets out there, don't you think that the chances are pretty good that one of them or several of them should probably have life on them?
Oh yeah, I believe.
So as of October 22nd, 2014, NASA has a Kepler satellite. It's actually a space telescope, and they confirmed 1,000 planets. They found 1,900 planets, and they found 476 other solar systems. Not only that, there are an additional 4,600 candidates for planets. In other words, the objects that appear to be planets that they're trying to get confirmation on. So if you throw all those things together, there's a good chance that there is definitely life somewhere else. Let me explain just a little bit about how in the science world we look at planets and how we can tell what kind of ingredients that the atmosphere has in order to sustain life, because I think that's important. First of all, astronomers have to know that planets don't produce light of their own, except when they're young. They're all, of course, an enormous distance away from us, and oftentimes they're lost in the glare of the star that they orbit. But with using spectroscopy, which is basically looking at the spectrum and changes in light in the spectrum, we can actually see when a planet crosses in front of a star. Because we see changes in the light, the spectral light. And by using spectroscopy, we can also detect gases in the planet's atmosphere like carbon monoxide and water vapor. It's pretty interesting. So, out of all of those planets, those ingredients have been found in some of them. So we know that there has to be. I mean, really, it's just a matter of time before we find out that there's life on one of those planets. Now, let me get back to demon appearances.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think a demon looks like?
Oh God, probably I don't know. I really don't know, because I don't know. I really don't know, because a ghost can take any form.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a demon can take any form.
Well, anything that's made up of energy can really take any form. So you're right. You're absolutely right. But if you think about it, when we as spirits, as humans, manifest to other spirits, to people rather, we manifest pretty much the way we were in life, right? So if you've seen a ghost or a spirit, it looks like a person the way that they did when they were alive.
Well, from what I understand, this is my understanding of when a human can see a ghost, somebody that has passed on, they will usually be in the form of when they last saw them, so they would recognize them. That's what I understand.
That's mostly the case. Sometimes they will appear as a younger version of themselves, or when they were most comfortable in life. Like my dad appeared to me as he was a young man at like 37 years old.
Did you recognize him?
I recognized him, sure, but I didn't. I don't remember him, in the physical when he was 37. But I recognized him.
Wow.
My mother also comes to me, and she looks much younger than she did before she passed. She was 85 when she passed, and she always looks like she's 40.
Oh, God.
So spirits come to us when they're in the visible way that they're most comfortable or were most comfortable in life. When I come back, I think I'll probably be like 25.
Really? That's your best age?
I don't know. I didn't have any gray hair then.
Oh. Well, honey, Rob, we could take care of that. That's no problem. But I still don't understand how an alien can be a demon. That's what I've been hearing all the time, and I just don't see how an alien can be a demon, Rob.
Okay. Well, let's look at a demon appearance then. Demonic appearances have been reported in a number of different ways. Usually they either have horns or wings or spikes coming out of them, or just something that's totally unearthly, or it appears unearthly. Demonic appearances have been reported as being black mist or fog or smoke or a black shadow. But again, we covered those earlier as dark entities, and those could be ghosts. We also touched upon this too, that demons can manipulate their energy to shape themselves into something that will frighten a life form. Now, because we think of them as having maybe giant wings or something, or giant horns coming out of their head or something like that, I want you to think about this. Did you ever get fascinated by dinosaurs as a kid?
Oh, God, no.
Okay. Well, as a boy, I was fascinated by dinosaurs. And you look at a dinosaur, if you look at dinosaurs today without knowing what they are, you may think that they were demons. Like a triceratops that has like horns coming out of its head and a big horn in the middle on its nose. That looks almost demonic because it's got two giant horns coming right over its eyes. If you think about a pterodactyl with giant leathery wings with a wingspan of like 60 feet and a forked tail, that could appear demonic, could it not?
Yeah, because that's what we vision as a demon to be.
Yes. So I think some of maybe dinosaurs could, if a dinosaur spirit or whatever would manifest in front of someone, perhaps they could think it was a demon, because they're totally alien to us. We've never seen a dinosaur, and they look scary and freakish, and there were a couple of dinosaurs that had armor plating and a spiked tail and all kinds of things. And who's to say, that life didn't evolve similarly on another planet and generate crazy looking creatures like dinosaurs, and that when they come to Earth as energy beings, they appear frightening. I certainly want.
Okay, but so you're talking about appearance then, not about their personality per se. You're just talking about the appearance of a demon then.
Right, the physical appearance.
Oh, not that an alien and a demon act the same way. Because a demon will, from what I understand, a demon goes after the weak. They go after the weak. And then also some people try to conjure up those demons because from what I understand, a demon can give you strength and make you do things that you never were capable of doing before. But then when the demon is done with you, look out.
Well, anybody that basically has a weak will can be subjected to any kind of paranormal thing or influenced by any kind of paranormal entity that is strong enough, certainly. So you brought up a good point. Let's talk about demon behavior. Sometimes they've been known to be deceptively angelic, to get into the good graces of a person and get their trust.
Oh yeah, because yes, exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So they can manipulate someone.
Yes, exactly.
And one could argue that that's also what a ghost would do, who was a really bad person in life.
Which would be a negative ghost, yeah.
Because we all meet people who try to manipulate other people to do their bidding, whether it's not right or out of the ordinary. So demonic behavior in that case, demonic behavior would be like just dealing with a bad person, someone who wants to manipulate you. And again, ghosts have the ability to influence things, just like spirits have the ability to influence things. Spirits can influence you to take a different direction on the drive home so that you can avoid a car accident. Okay, so there are really negative ghosts. And so I've always wondered, these negative ghosts, how do they know the difference between a really bad negative ghost and a demon? We really don't. We don't. That's a good question. But I don't think demons would... I think that demons, being extraterrestrial, actually react very with hostility toward us. Because they don't understand us. They don't know what we are. I think that they see our life form as threatening because it's scary to them. They're like they act like a cornered or hostile animal. It's just like you coming up, walking through a jungle in Kenya, for instance, and you come up across a wild lion. That lion is going to be hostile to you because he's afraid of you. He doesn't know who you are. He doesn't know why you're there, and he has to defend himself. So he would go on the defensive, or maybe offensive, to protect himself. And I think maybe alien life forms, or demons, if you want to call them that, whenever their energies reach Earth, they behave the same way because they don't know what we are, so they could be hostile.
Well, there's many species of aliens, like 23 or something, and there's also the Nordic aliens that look just like us. And they say that there are aliens walking around, and we could pass one up on the street and we wouldn't even know that they were an alien. And they're aliens that they're living in Dolce. there's underground tunnels where there's experiments being made. There's farms. They're farming humans. I mean, I've heard some horror stories about what's happening with aliens on our Earth.
Well, you have a vast knowledge that I do not have about aliens.
Yeah, I've done some alien shows, and Noria Hayakawa, I've had him on the show several years ago, and he's an expert on Dulce, and that's where he lives, in New Mexico, and he was the one that was talking about these underground tunnels and living quarters, and they've had alien fights with the white people, and they've had confrontations down there, and there's supposed to be down there somewhere farms that they're farming humans down there.
What do you mean by farming humans?
Farming, they're farming them. They're experimenting on them, and they're farming them, and they're putting in like test tubes. That's the best explanation I can give you on that.
Okay.
but they say that the aliens, the ones that we are seeing, and the ones that are showing up, and the abductions, they say they're not coming from outer space. That they have their secret areas here on Earth, and that's where they're abducting and taking the humans.
So would that be something like the Bermuda Triangle?
No, it's not a Bermuda Triangle. They have certain areas. They're submersibles. They're living under the waters. I told you they're living under the ground. They're living in the mountains, and these aliens are not traveling back and forth. They are here. They're here. That's what's happening. That's what I understand.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that. Well, you know, there are always some people that they can have.
And
they never take those though.
and they are selective of the people that they take. And now there's talk about this bloodline, this certain bloodline. I think it's an Rh negative bloodline, and that's supposed to be part of the alien bloodline.
Wow. I'm getting an education tonight.
Do any of the viewers have any questions? And I've seen UFOs myself.
You have?
Yes,
Okay.
I have. Oh yeah.
Where have you seen them?
Oh, my sister used to live way up in the mountains, up in Arnold, and her elevation of like 42,000. And we were sitting on the porch one night, and we were looking in the sky, because that's what we used to do. We used to love to look at the sky to see if anything would happen. And sure enough, this one night, we saw this bright light in the sky, and all of a sudden, and it wasn't, it was traveling fast, but it wasn't like a shooting star or anything. It shot across the sky, and then it stopped, Rob, and then it went in another direction, and then it came back again, and it zigzagged, and it did this, and then it took off, then it came back again, and why it was over us, I have no idea. But we did report that to MUFON. It was very strange. And then we were up, and twice when we went on vacation up into the Rollins Lake area, and it wasn't only us. There was a bunch of us standing out on their deck at this resort area, and all of a sudden we saw this thing in the sky that had colored lights, and it was acting very strange. It was not an airplane. And there was like 10 of us that had seen this, and it happened twice on 2 separate occasions.
Wow. And did anybody have any idea what it was?
No, we couldn't figure out what it was. It was really odd. It was long, like a cigar, and it had these colored lights on it. But it was acting really strange in the sky. It wasn't a blimp or anything. This was late at night. And yeah, there was 10 of us that saw that, and we're pretty sure it was an unidentified flying object.
Well, it's now that we have commercial drones available, it's going to be much more difficult to figure out if something is a UFO.
Oh yeah, but this was oh god, this was like in the 70s when we saw that. 80s,
Okay.
yeah. They didn't have drones then.
Compared to from the 1970s or the 80s, but especially since the inception of private drones and model drones that people are buying like crazy and registering now with the
Yeah.
FAA, it's going to be much harder to figure out if something is actually a UFO or if something is a drone that somebody just got carried away with. So
Yeah.
it's going to change the whole outlook on UFOs, the whole observation
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah. You know, talking about aliens, they they think that Obama's an alien, and oh God, George Bush the Jr. is a lizard, as a reptilian, and oh my God, everybody in politics seems to have some kind of a alien connection.
Oh boy.
I guess you didn't hear that either.
No, I think there's a lot of people.
Rob, I got to get you out of the closet, honey. You got to find out what's happening in life. Rob's, what are you, Rob? You're a meteorologist, right?
I'm a meteorologist,
Yes.
right? I work with weather.
Yes. Yes, and he's scientific. All right, so, okay, Rob, but I love you to death, but I'm still on the edge here with aliens being demons.
Well, I don't present that as a matter of fact. I just that's definitely my theory that I'm quite sure that there's life elsewhere, and any kind of life from another planet, another universe, would appear alien to us. And demons appear like aliens. They really do. So do angels, as a matter of fact. We don't have anything living on this earth that looks anything like what people describe as an angel. Solid beings of light with giant wings. We've never seen anything living that looks like that. So, but who's to say that there isn't something living on another planet in another solar system that actually does look like that comes here?
I don't know, and I don't know where they came up with the 23 different species of aliens. I've seen pictures of quite a few, but I haven't seen 23.
You're much more of an alien expert than I am.
Oh, hey, they want to know, have you ever encountered a demon?
Have I encountered a demon?
Yeah.
No, I have not. Everything that I have encountered was once a living thing on Earth.
Oh.
And that would be either a ghost or a spirit, human or animal.
What about any bad spirits or negative spirits have you been in contact with?
Oh gosh, yeah. There's been quite a few of them. As I mentioned before, a lot of ghosts typically stay because they did bad things in life. So they don't think that they're deserving to cross over. As a matter of fact, they're afraid to cross over because they think if they do cross over,
oh yeah,
they'll go to hell.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I think hell is actually being stuck as an earthbound ghost. Because you're stuck here for eternity and you have no way to connect or communicate with your loved ones in spirit. So that's an afterlife of eternity in isolation. So I think that's hell.
So how could somebody help pass somebody over into the light or to the other side?
Great question. There's a number of ways that you can do that. And the first way, well, of course, it's easier to just call a paranormal team. There's always a medium or two on staff, and paranormal teams don't usually charge anything. I know our team never does. We just go in and take care of things. But what people can do is they can invite the light in, and you can try and make the house a lighter atmosphere. put more lights on, put on soft music. Visualize a portal of light in one room of your house, especially the part of the house where you experience most ghostly activity. Talk to the ghost and tell them that you understand that they're stuck here and that they really deserve to be with their loved ones on the other side. So focus on that portal of light. Just envision it in your mind, and then call on the ghosts, relatives from the other side, to come show themselves in the portal and help that ghost cross over. And that's generally what we do. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a long time sometimes. One particular instance, 45 minutes to almost an hour to get a ghost to cross. They did not want to go, but we convinced relatives on the other side to come through and bring them over. I've had to cross a ghost dog over too.
A dog?
A dog, yes.
No way.
And there's something interesting about that too, is that you really have to think the way a dog thinks, and even a dog in spirit still thinks the way a dog did in the physical. So what I did was I got a treat, and I opened a portal of light, and I tossed the treat through, and the dog went after it.
Oh my
and
God. Oh.
So yeah, crossing a ghost over takes a lot of energy, and it's easier to do when you have I wouldn't recommend trying to do it with one person because it's all about energy. The more positive energy you have in a room, the easier it is to open a portal of light to the other side.
Somebody's asking in the chat room, has he done DMT? What is DMT? Death? Something transition? I don't either. We have another question from Justin. Noreen, is it bad to have an out-of-body experiences and also be able to tell when someone will pass or a disaster is going to happen?
It's not a bad thing to have an out-of-body experience. I mean, I personally haven't had one, and if you have had one, that's a pretty amazing thing in itself. And what it does is it does make you more in tune with the energies around you. So yes, you can get that sensation that you'll know who will pass at a certain time. I think we addressed that before.
Yeah.
You also have the ability. Sometimes people come back with the ability to sense ghosts or spirits. There are a number of things that you can come back with. So I don't think it's a bad thing. It actually makes you more sensitive to the energies around you. So it could be a gift. I mean, I look at my abilities as a gift. Mm-hmm. Some people are afraid of them. My mom was afraid of having the ability to communicate with people who passed, and she never used it. She was scared.
She had that ability?
She did.
Oh, gosh.
And she told me she heard her mom after her mom passed away, she heard her mother call her name. And she said, I never wanted to hear anything again. I never wanted to experience it again. She never did. But,
oh, gosh. Some people would love to have that ability.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm comforted by the fact that I use the ability to pass messages on to people who are grieving and in some serious grief that otherwise I wouldn't have gotten out of. One of the stories I wrote about in my book, Lessons Learned from Talking to the Dead, was about a young man who supposedly committed suicide in 1996. And he told me that it was an accident. He told me that he mixed 2 prescription drugs by accident. As it turned out, it was the same medications that Heath Ledger accidentally mixed that took his life.
No.
So when I got this message and I passed this message on to his dad, 15 years later, it because I never knew this man in life. I only knew him in death. When he gave me this message 15 years later, his dad thanked me and said he could finally stop grieving for his son because his son did not commit suicide.
Oh.
It's a pretty big gift.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, gosh. So,
For the
what?
person that look at it as a gift.
Mm-hmm. So, what else do you want to talk about as far as, as far as dark entities? Now, poltergeist. You had mentioned poltergeist.
Yes.
What do you feel about poltergeist?
Oh gosh, well that's our other big topic for the night. Poltergeists are really not what the movies make them out to be. And by the way, I enjoyed your interview with Mike Ricksecker when he talked about the Amityville Horror House.
Oh yeah. He figured a lot of people would get upset about that.
Yeah. No, actually, that made me quite happy to hear that it wasn't what they made it out to be.
Oh yeah, that it was. Yeah. It was all to make money. But that picture that they captured of that ghost child that was very similar to the youngest boy, Matthew, I guess, that was killed. That was the best thing that they captured, I think, from that house.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that a young boy would continue to linger either as a ghost or in spirit at the house that he was familiar with. So that's not surprising.
Yeah.
It's tragic, but it's not surprising. As for poltergeists, though, Hollywood totally misclassified what a poltergeist is when they made that first movie. I think it was back in 1980. Do you remember it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, I did too. Well, we're dating ourselves, you know.
Well, I was very young when I saw that.
I was a kid. I saw the rerun, the DVD.
Yeah, that's it.
But we all, we all remember the picture of the little girl with her hands on the TV.
Yeah.
And the TV lights up and it goes crazy and all that stuff. Well, a poltergeist is not a ghost. I know that many people think that a poltergeist is a ghost, but what it is actually is it's energy that simulates ghostly activity, but it's generated by severe emotional energy output, usually by a teenager, and
okay.
usually by a girl.
Okay, go ahead and finish, because I just did a show with a fella that was on Ghost Adventures, the Seattle Demon House. So go ahead and finish, and then I'll tell you about this case. Go ahead.
Okay, so poltergeist activity simulates an intelligent haunt. It's energy that's projected through the mind, and it can cause tapping sounds. That energy can move objects. It can cause lights to flicker on and off because it's energy. It's the same way a ghost or a spirit actually manipulate energy. Poltergeist activity, when you're projecting the energy, can actually even project what looks like a shadow person or a dark entity. And the negative energy that is put forth from this teenager, usually a pubescent teenager, can actually make other people sickly. And I can tell you all about the couple of cases that we went on that include poltergeist activity. So it's all about negative energy. It's not possession. It's not its own entity. It's energy that makes things happen, that simulate activities from a ghost or a spirit.
So were there teenagers in that particular home?
Yes.
Okay.
In both, yeah. There were two cases that we have where we found poltergeist activity. But I want to hear about your case first.
All right. Well, this is a case in Seattle. The Ghost Adventures had come to that house. It was on TV, and it was just Keith and his girlfriend. They weren't married, and they were living in this house, and I forget how they came about this house. He didn't know when they moved in that the house was haunted, but according to what he said, the activity started from day one when they moved in. When Ghost Adventures was there, they couldn't find anything, and they said it was the girlfriend that was possessed, not the house, and not Keith, but it was the girlfriend. Now, and it was left at that. Well, Keith was very upset because he said that his house is haunted, and he had video, and he had EVPs that he had captured. And so a friend of mine, Carissa Fleck, went to his home, and she, on her own expense, she went down there, and she stayed for about 3 weeks to investigate his house and to document any paranormal activity that might be going on, and see if she could verify that his house really was haunted and there was poltergeist activity. And there was also another team from the UK that is very famous, I guess, in the UK, and they came to the house. I don't know how many days they were there, 3 days or whatever, and they brought all this fancy, expensive equipment. They also found evidence that the house is haunted. They are putting out a documentary, and they actually say that this house is haunted. But there were no teenagers in this house, 2 adults. And Keith I showed a video to my viewers where he had a security set up, and everything there was cameras in all the rooms, and when there was any activity, alarm would go off, and he would be notified at work, and he could look at this from this computer to see what was happening in the house. And when he came home, well, he had seen the destruction on the computer, and he came home and he took out his camera. One of his office was turned upside down. The chair was taken apart. Half of it was on his desk. The other was on the ground. There was, I guess it was a pen. Marked a pen across on the carpet. Then there was an upside down cross on the wall with scissors that had been stuck in the wall, and with a little cross that Keith had purchased, I don't know, that week or whatever. It was sitting on top of the scissors. But he went through the whole house, and there was quite a bit of destruction in the master bedroom. He went in the kitchen. The chairs were in a circle. The kitchen, all the drawers had been pulled out. And oh gosh, I guess there was some other stuff that happened in the house as well. And of course, if I had seen that, I would have just packed my clothes and left the damn house. There's no way I would have stayed in there. But and so this is the kind of activity that goes on in this house. But he continues to live there. Now, Carissa was there for 3 weeks. I know she got a lot of EVPs. I'm not sure about poltergeist activity, if she captured any, but she did put out a video. Oh, and Bibles would burn. He had 2 Bibles, and when he would bring a Bible in, it would go on fire. So there was this particular Bible on one of the tables, and Carissa was in the room with it, and she pulled out her video camera, and she was pointing the video camera at the Bible because a couple of the pages were standing straight up. And so she started talking to the Bible. If you could please move those pages, would you please move them now? Just go push them down. And it looked like there might have been a breeze that came through. But she said there was no heat on, there was no air conditioning, there was nothing in the house that would cause any kind of movement to those pages. But the odd thing, they were standing straight up. Well, eventually she kept talking to this whatever was in the room to please move the pages, and they started moving. They started moving. It was creepy as heck, and she has that evidence on her camera. She believed the house to be haunted.
it certainly sounds like an intelligent haunt to me, and not a poltergeist.
Now, why would it pull all the drawers out and do all that destruction?
Well, ghosts will actually, they'll do that. I actually lived in a haunted house in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and there was one time I was out studying in the dining room, and I walked in the kitchen, and all the cabinet doors were open. He was the male ghost that was there was just being goofy, I guess. But it sounds like this particular instance is pretty malicious, nasty ghost.
Yeah.
It sounds like someone who it could have been someone who was done wrong by religion, maybe executed or killed, but because of their religion, if they were attacking Bibles.
Well, I think there's something to do with I think he might be on some Indian land or something.
Well, it's interesting to me that, we always, as paranormal investigators, we always have to look at what a ghost focuses on, because usually there's some kind of personal connection or some affront that has happened because of something. So, throughout history, there have been a lot of religions who have executed people or persecuted people for not following their religion or defying them.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that came to my mind when you mentioned that the Bibles were being burned or set ablaze or whatever.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like a retaliation and a very angry ghost.
Oh. Do you think it could have anything to do with the land that he's on? I do believe he said something that it was something to do with Indians over there. He's in Washington. I believe he's either Oregon or Washington. Oh yeah, in Seattle, Washington. That's where he is. And it has something to do with Indians. But I can't remember. I asked him if he knew about the history of the land or the house, and I can't remember what he said to me. It's on my show that I did with him.
Yeah, sure. We have found too, as investigators, that a lot of Native American burial grounds or ceremonial grounds still harvest a lot of energy, and that energy can actually be used to strengthen an earthbound ghost. So yeah, it's not surprising to me at all that a ghost had that much energy.
Well, oh my gosh, what was it? The Enfield Poltergeist. I did a show on the Enfield Poltergeist case in England, and it involved two young teenage girls, and anyway, in that house, furniture was being turned upside down, like in Keys. Chairs levitated. Dressers and stuff would move, and they actually saw this with their own eyes. This was actually happening in front of them.
And did they determine that the girls were the ones responsible?
I think the outcome was, one of the girls, I believe she said that she was causing that to happen. It's been a while that I had done that show. I believe that she said it was her that was causing that. Yeah. She doesn't talk about it. She's grown up. She's in, middle age or whatever, and she doesn't talk about it anymore. So the strength that this ghost can have, or this energy, I mean, they can lift things. They can lift beds up. They can do all kinds of things.
Oh, absolutely. They can totally mimic what a ghost, an actual intelligent haunt, could do. Because again, they're both things are about energy. Ghosts are about energy, and so are poltergeist activity. It's projected energy from the mind, and coupled with unstable emotions. So there were two investigations that we went on with inspired ghost tracking, and in one particular investigation, we actually went there because there was a ghost came with an attachment to a piece of jewelry and was causing havoc in the house. It turned out that this house had a lot of things going on in it. We crossed the ghost over that was attached to the jewelry that came with it. It was actually jewelry from Central America. And so we crossed that ghost over. There was also a ghost cat that walked past my leg in the kitchen in this house.
Oh.
And there was a lot of energy in there. And in addition to all that, we figured out that there was poltergeist activity. And as a side note, by the way, if you or anybody you know live near power lines,
Oh, yeah.
power lines still give off energy. This particular house was located near high tension wires. And we felt that the energy of those high tension wires were actually adding to the paranormal activity that was going on in the house. In fact, I think that it helped magnify the poltergeist activity. So on this particular investigation, we went through the house, and the homeowner said that the youngest daughter kept seeing things move in her room. She also saw a dark shadow figure in her closet. And she said that things would disappear from her room and then reappear again, and she always felt uneasy, she felt uncomfortable. She saw a shadow figure standing at the end of her bed, all very unnerving, that would lead us to believe that there was actually a ghost that was doing that. Well, myself and another medium went through the house after we crossed that other ghost over, and we couldn't sense anything. All the ghosts, there were no more ghosts there. So we both looked at each other and we asked the homeowner if there was another daughter in the house. And she said yes. And as a matter of fact, the other daughter was an older daughter who happened to be out of the house at that time. So then we had to ask questions. We asked her if the older daughter was going through an emotionally traumatic time, maybe with school or a boyfriend or something. And then we had to ask her if there was jealousy between the older daughter and the younger daughter. And the homeowner confirmed all of those things. That there was jealousy, that there was emotional upset in the older girl's life. And it all started to make sense. As a matter of fact, the dark shadow that the girl saw in her closet, the younger girl's closet was actually backed up to the older girl's bedroom. So it was energy being projected into the younger girl's room from the older girl.
Oh.
And I also asked the homeowner, I said, does any of this activity with the younger daughter ever happen when the older daughter is not home? And the answer was no. So the older daughter was projecting a lot of angst and energy that mimicked an intelligent haunt. So we urged the homeowner to talk to her older daughter and see if her older daughter could get some counseling to deal with her emotional turmoil. About 6 months later, when we checked back in, the older daughter got that counseling, and the poltergeist activity had come to an end.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I had heard about teenagers. It was usually a teenager, but I don't think that's the instance in all these so-called poltergeist cases. What do you know about? There's a lady that watches my show, and she had sent me a message about these awful nightmares that she's been having, and they seem so real. Are there any kind of like medications or anything that you take that can cause these to happen?
Well, if she is on any medications, I'm sure medications can have some adverse side effects and give bad dreams. I would urge her to contact your doctor and double check side effects, or just go to the pharmacist and ask what the side effects are for any medications that you may be taking. Because yes, I have heard medications will cause really bad dreams, night sweats, in fact, a lot of restlessness and anxiety. There are several medications that would do that. You know, my husband and I joke sometimes when we're watching these commercials on TV that says, well, this will take care of your asthma. I mean, I have asthma, but it says may cause death or heart attack.
Oh, God, don't you love it? Well, I said that to my husband, too. I said, did you hear the side effects? Why would you take it if you're probably going to die if you do?
I know. That's
That's ridiculous.
So, you know, I think I'll stick with the asthma.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
So, yeah, medication can have some serious side effects, and I would check with a pharmacist.
But could that also, could you, with certain kind of drugs, can you like hallucinate and be awake where you see spiders crawling?
Oh, sure. I guess so.
Oh.
You know, isn't that what happened to people who smoked marijuana in the 60s and 70s?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I guess they did. I never smoked it, so.
Well, you and I weren't even born.
No, that's right. Good one, Rob. Oh, my God. You know, one of our viewers, River, he just lost his dog, and he's really heartbroken, and I feel so bad. River Culver, he just lost his little doggy, a couple of days ago.
I'm sorry. It's really, as you know, it's really a difficult thing. You lost your cat recently. Well, the last time I was on your show.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. And we actually feel the grief and the pain for pets often more so than we do for people who pass, because pets are solely our responsibility.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And I mean, to me, it's losing a child.
Yes.
But one thing he needs to know, is it a he? I'm sorry, who?
Oh, River Culver. River. His name is River.
Okay. Well, River, one thing you need to know is that the love that you share with your pet is bound to you forever, and that your pet is well aware that you're in grief right now, and eventually, over time, we'll give you some signs that he's still around. One of the easiest ways that you can get a sign from your pet from the other side is to ask for him to come into your dreams. Keep a piece of paper and pencil next to your nightstand, and write it down as soon as you wake up what you experienced. But oftentimes he'll come into your dreams. It'll be a very peaceful, serene setting to let you know that they're okay. And that's the best thing that you can do. And our pets don't want us to grieve, and they don't want us to feel guilty either for their passing. They know when their time is. They want you to remember them for the love that you shared with them, and that's how it should be.
Now, and his pet may even show up where he'll see his pet, because you can also see your pet even when they've passed over.
Oh gosh, there's a lot of ways that pets can communicate, but as we talked about, that's another show in itself.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, you may certainly see them out of the corner of your eye. You may hear the nails on the floor. You may feel them jump on your bed. There's a whole variety of things. And you're welcome to email me. My email is rgutro@gmail.com. And sometimes pets come through to me, and I'm happy to share the messages with you.
Oh, thanks, Rob. Yeah.
Sure.
The viewers, they're all pet lovers, all of them. So when we do that show in May, it's going to be huge, because everybody that watches the show, they have dogs, cats, whatever, and they love their pets. They love them.
Noreen, I have to tell you that the last time that we did a show together about pets, I'm still getting emails from people who keep watching that. Someone from Argentina sent me an email like 2 weeks ago that saw your show.
Oh yeah, they're still commenting on. I'm still getting comments on that show.
It's pretty awesome.
So I know the next one that we do is going to be really awesome. Pets in Heaven. That's going to be really an awesome show. I just want to give you guys a heads up. Rob's going to do a show with me, Pets in Heaven, and I'm going to be asking you, and I'll give you my email address to send me the pictures of your beloved pets, the ones that have passed on. And during the show, while Rob is talking, I will be showing your pictures of your pets, and it'll, if you would like to do that.
And who knows who may come through?
Oh, would you be able to pick that up if one of the pets were coming through, Rob?
Sometimes I do, yes.
Oh, that'll be awesome. Okay, that'll be awesome. All right, so back to the dark side. Anything else you want to talk about on the dark side?
Sure, we can talk about how to fix the problem for poltergeist activity.
Oh, yeah. I never thought about that. Like in Keith's case, how would he fix that?
Oh, Noreen, we can fix anything.
Oh.
Well, not really, but we can try.
Okay, let's hear it, Rob.
So the first thing to do, if you have ghostly activity in the house, and if it started suddenly, if you had teenagers in the home, look toward them. Ask them if there are any rivalries, or if someone is going through an emotional period, if someone's under a lot of stress. Make note if one child is more angry than the other. Those are signs and things to look for in your children to find out if they're actually causing this poltergeist activity. So don't automatically assume that you have a ghost in your house, because you may not. It may be your own children that may be causing the energy that simulates the activity of a ghost. So if that's the case, make sure you look at avenues where you can get either counseling for your teenagers, and it doesn't have to be a girl necessarily. It could be teenage boys. Anyone that's going through puberty, or it doesn't have to be teenage either. It can be someone who's very, very emotional. You can be any age, as a matter of fact. But oftentimes we find that it's usually someone either in their teenage years or their early 20s that has this crazy amount of energy that can simulate ghostly activity. So once maybe you can talk it out, even things out between your teenager or your children, and hopefully that will quell the activity. The other thing I want to talk about, Noreen, if we could, is the difference between a poltergeist versus a ghost.
Okay.
This is a good way to distinguish them.
Okay.
Poltergeists are never were a living thing. It's only energy. A ghost was once a living person or a living animal. So there's the difference. Poltergeists are only pure emotional energy. Ghosts can be intelligent haunts or residual haunts. Intelligent means that if you talk to the ghost or ask it a question, you may get an answer, or you may get a response in some way. It can move an object, it can make a noise, it can do something, it can turn a flashlight on or manipulate electricity. That would be an intelligent haunt, a response to a question. Residual is like a thumbprint. It's like an impression of someone left behind. And that usually happens in a house where there was a very emotional time going on. And it could be a good thing. It could be like there was a wedding in the house, and you walk into this house and you'll quickly see a man and a woman, or a bride and a groom, visible for a moment and then fade away. Mm-hmm. And then you'll come back at another time and you'll see the same image, and it'll fade away. That's residual. It means you can't interact with them. You just see the same thing happening over and over again. It's an energy, and it could be positive, it could be negative. We mentioned that poltergeist can simulate things that ghosts can do. But like I mentioned with intelligent haunts, poltergeist activity can't answer questions because it's basically just energy. There's no memories, there's no personality, nothing in poltergeist activity. It's just energy being generated by the mind of a very emotional person. Ghosts, because they have their own personality, they can be good or they can be bad, just like they were in life. So that's a big difference. Personality with ghosts and spirits, no personality with energy from poltergeist activity. The other thing is that poltergeist activity can happen anywhere. Wherever there's a teenager or a person that is transmitting the energy, that's where poltergeist activity can happen. It doesn't have to happen just in the home. Ghosts usually stay fixed in one place. Usually. I mean, there are exceptions. Spirits can come and go anywhere in the world at any time.
Yeah.
So that's my list of poltergeist versus ghosts.
Yeah, geez, I had a question for you too, and I didn't want to interrupt you.
You can tell me to shut up anytime, you know.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt you, and I had a question for you about ghosts.
Okay.
Oh my God. Well, okay, so with the poltergeist, in Keith's case, where he has this activity, what can he do to get that to stop? Is it because, he, on a daily basis, he was doing EVP work, he was pulling out his video camera, and from what I understand, he was after Carissa left, he was going to get rid of everything. He didn't want to give it any more attention. He didn't want to have anything more to do with it, but I believe he's still staying in the house. If he stops paying any attention to it, stops taking pictures, because I think now that it's been resolved that his house is actually haunted, that's all he wanted, validation, and so he doesn't need to do this anymore. Do you think if he stops giving it attention that all this activity will stop in the house?
No, well, frankly, no. I think that it may be that whatever is in the house or whoever is in the house may not want him to be there. And wherever there's energy that ghost can plug into, they're going to plug into that energy so that they can continue to communicate with him. There's another case, and she was going to come on the show, but I really don't think it's like she can't do it. She wants to so badly, but she's scared. She's afraid to do a live show. Okay. Bottom line is she's afraid to do it. Lori is, they moved into this farmhouse in Indiana, and of course the land in Indiana, it's Indian territory, and right near her there's a cemetery, and there was some big huge Indian fight, it was horrible, a battle, and so a lot of lives were lost, and so the activity started in this house. I don't know how soon after they moved in, but the husband got sick. The son has had issues and problems at school. He's bullied, and she has issues as well. And also, a lot of she's captured a lot of video, strange things in the house. Now, some of them are orbs, it's just dust, but some of them are legit, and the voices that she's getting, some of them are kind of demonic, but she also told me that she was sexually attacked by the ghost. And I told her, she contacted me almost 2 years ago, and I told her, I said, look, you've got to stop paying attention to it. You need help.
The house probably somebody, I don't know if it's somebody in your family or if it's the house or the land. I said, but you've got to stop paying attention to what's happening. Put your voice recorder away. Put that damn camera away and stop acknowledging it. But she
a very abusive paranormal situation there, and yeah, she needs to take that first step, call in some investigators and a medium, and have the house cleared, and then and cross over whatever's there. And it's going to be even more difficult, certainly, if there are a lot of Native American energies there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she really needs to call somebody in to help her clear things out.
You know, it's the old saying, Rob. You can bring the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink.
Exactly.
And that's that's exactly what's happening here.
Yeah, it's kind of maddening when you can't get people to help themselves, and they just want to stay in that same situation.
Yeah.
But I urge anybody that has any kind of paranormal activity in their home that's making them uncomfortable to live in their house to contact a paranormal group. Paranormal groups usually don't charge anything.
I don't think the husband wants anybody in the house. That's the deal.
Yeah, and sometimes that happens, that one of the spouses doesn't believe in the paranormal, and if they're not experiencing it, and they don't want anybody in the house.
Yeah.
So the only thing I would suggest to her is that she invite a lot of light and peace in. We talked about that earlier, where you bring a lot of light into the house, play soft music, light candles, do things to bring in laughter, make happiness, and you can actually suck the life out of whatever negative energy is in there.
One of our viewers, Para Princess, she wants to know, Rob, can you hear any type of pets? Can you hear pets, dogs, cats, birds? Can you hear anything? I'm assuming she means a pet that has passed over, or an animal that's passed over.
Yeah, I only talk to dead people and pets.
Well, yeah. So can you? I never thought about birds. I always think of just like dogs and cats. And can you hear? Like, have you ever heard like chirping of a bird when there was no bird there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you have.
Yes, yeah. Birds, some birds and horses have a limited ability to communicate with us. Basically, any animal that's domesticated, that has been around us talking and our emotions and our language, has the ability to communicate with us on some level. Birds are certainly more limited. There are certain birds that can easier than others, because certain birds, like, is it a mynah bird that can say English words or
Oh, there's a certain parrot that can say English words. They can talk. Yeah, they can teach them how to English. Yeah,
they can probably say it in any language, as a matter of fact. But
yeah, I think yes, Spanish too. Yeah, they can.
Yeah, so you can get messages from birds and horses. Actually, in my first Pets in the Afterlife book, I did write a story that was conveyed to me about a woman that got a message from one of her birds. It was
a message from her bird?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the bird kept letting her know that she was still around.
Oh, I never thought of a bird communicating.
Again, only the ones that are domesticated. Certainly mediums couldn't get messages, or well, they could, but they could not. We can't understand messages from animals that aren't familiar with our language or that were never domesticated, because those animals that are not domesticated have a harder time reading our emotions and relating to us, even from the other side.
Wow. Now, Rob, you're a medium. How does that come to you? I know some mediums can like just sit and something will come to them. A spirit will come to them. Are you able to do that?
Well, Marina, I'm a medium rare. I'm not well done.
Oh, you're still cooking.
I'm still cooking. um, Spirits and ghosts come to me in a lot of different ways. Mostly telepathically. I've been going on, I think, I've been going on a lot of investigations, and sometimes they actually show me what they look like in my mind. So I carry a sketchbook with me, and I've actually been able to sketch out what the ghost looks like.
Really?
That's in the home. And it's kind of unnerving, really, because I always give it to the manager of the group, and she shows the homeowner, and so far I've been batting 1,000 because every time I've sketched a ghost out, the homeowner confirms that that's the person that's walking through their home.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
spirit drawing, right? Spirit drawing.
Well, the spirit doesn't take me over. It's just I actually can see them in my head, so I can draw them. I think isn't spirit writing when a spirit takes you over and makes you write something?
Oh, spirit writing. Okay, it's not writing, it's pictures, spirit pictures. Yeah, I know a couple other people that do that as well. You're probably right. Yeah, spirit writing is the other. I said the wrong verbiage. It's not spirit writing, it's your spirit pictures, ghost pictures.
So that's one way that they come to me. I mean, I hear them, I see them sometimes, mostly in my mind. I don't usually see them in physical form. I can feel them. They often share pain of death with me to prove who they are, and I don't like that.
They share how they died?
Yeah, I mean, I've been hit, punched, pushed down the stairs, stabbed, shot. I felt heart attacks, cancer, kidney failure, lung problems, and I'm like, okay, I get it.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awful.
So sharing that energy from a ghost or a spirit really, it takes a toll on you too. It takes a toll on me physically as well as mentally. It just wears you out. But there's a lot of ways that they communicate, and pain of death is quite a common one because it's easy to prove who they are.
Mm.
I also get a lot of names.
You do get names. That's rare. Do you get a last name as well?
Sometimes I get a last name.
Wow, that's really rare to get a last name too.
Yeah, it kind of freaks me out.
Oh my gosh. Now, what about, have you ever dealt with like unsolved crimes?
No, I haven't dealt with unsolved crimes, but I did. One of the investigations that I wrote about in Lessons Learned from Talking to the Dead book was a double murder investigation. The Inspired Ghost Dragon team went in there. It's actually one of my favorite stories because myself and another medium, a friend of mine, Troy, went into this house not knowing anything, and we encountered two females, ghosts, which it took us about an hour to figure out that we were talking to two different women. We both thought we were talking to the same woman, and I finally said, the woman I'm talking to is in her 60s, late 60s. How old is the woman you're talking to? And he said, oh, she's in her mid-30s. And I said, well, we're talking to two different women. And as it turned out, long story short, and I wrote extensively about this, these two women were mother and daughter-in-law, and they were brutally murdered in this home.
Ooh.
And they stayed there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the family that called us in were seeing a shadow figure. They were getting sheets pulled off. They were feeling cold. All kinds of things. So that's why they called the team in. And come to find out, in this particular instance, I experienced all those things. I mean, these two women were brutalized by a tenant that lived in the basement apartment. This guy, he must have been high on something. I don't know what it was, but he shot them, pushed them down the stairs, hit them, stabbed them.
Oh my God!
Sexually assaulted them, and he brutally murdered these two women. And were still left, their ghosts were still in the house. So our historian from the group went to police reports and all kinds of things, and she confirmed every single thing that myself and Troy, the other medium, got from these two ghosts, from this whole story. And by the way, the guy that did it is serving like double life sentence.
Oh, good. They got him.
They did, but that was a horrifying experience.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever had the desire to work with these unsolved murder cases?
No, I think I'm going to stick closer to pets.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There's a lot more love with pets.
Yes, I know. I
know.
know.
For the positive.
Yes, and your love for animals and all the good that you do is absolutely wonderful. Well, Rob, I want to thank you so much for being on the show again, and he's coming back in May for an awesome, another third show with me. Rob, I'm going to show, let me show your books and your blog spot. I have it up here for everybody to see. You want to tell them what it is, even though I have it?
Oh, sure. It's Ghosts and Spirits Insights.blogspot.com. And people can find me on Facebook, too, under Rob Guttrow, author medium, or Twitter, Ghost Medium Book. Or just go on Amazon and put in GUTRO, and you can find everything that I've got out there to... And I basically wrote all of these books to give people understanding and comfort and answers to how things work and how to find signs on your own, so that you really don't need to, look for a medium. You can do it yourself.
Yeah, and under the video on YouTube, on the About, if you go at the bottom, if you scroll down to the bottom, all the links are there for Rob as well. So Rob, thank you so much, honey, for being on the show again. It was a pleasure to have you as always. And thank you for all your good work that you do with the animals. Thank you so much, Rob.
Well, and Noreen, thank you for all your work. I mean, you are a living encyclopedia of the paranormal.
I wish I was, but thank you. I love you, Rob.
Love you too.
Thanks, honey. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Oh, well, everybody, thanks for hanging in there. We had a huge crowd again tonight. Thanks so much for being here. Next week, and Rob, again, thank you so much. He is a wonderful person. He's always rescuing animals. He helps out at all the sites for animals. If you go to his Facebook page, you'll find out all about him. He's absolutely wonderful, wonderful. Anybody that loves animals the way I do and we all do, he's a good person. Anyway, so next week my show is on true crime, but I'm not sure which crime we're going to do yet. We may do the Black Dahlia. I've done that. I did that Black Dahlia years ago. So we may do the Black Dahlia and a couple other ones. So anyway, everybody, thanks so much. I'm starting to run out of time here. The feed did go down, but it went right back up again. So you probably noticed that the froze or whatever, but it did go back up. Everybody, thank you. I love you so much for being being here with me tonight. It was huge. I think it got up to 176 at one point tonight. Anyway, I'm going to do some fast shout outs, okay? Indecent Angel, Midnight Immoderata, Mama Joe Buffalo, River Culver, honey, I hope you're okay. Alexander Violet, Janet W, Justin Elias, hi honey. My buddy, Country Roads, Dave, hey bud. Jill Fort, Royce Hinman, thank you so much for modding. Andrew Cox, Nasi Sopoveda, Unique Sweet Annie, Miss Ty. Oh my God, Haley, oh my God, okay, it's going too fast now, I gotta go back. Again, Royce, thanks for being a mod. Let's see, Unique Sweet Annie and Justin, thanks honey, I haven't seen you for a while, love you too. Haley McGahern, Janice Bolt, Brooke Bossy, David Coffin, nice to see you. Okay. Quiet Storm? I guess that's it. Jimmy Cortez. Everybody, I want you to pray for Jimmy, our Jimmy Cortez, who's in our chat room. He got some test results and they weren't very good. So I want you to pray for him. And I all want you to please send him positive vibes his way, that everything comes out okay for Jimmy. Jimmy, we love you, honey. Let's see. Miss Lydia Thrash, Princess Patricia, Lily Vela Lopez, Jason Walker, F Warrior, Summer Sims. Oh gosh, come on. Chippetary, Haunted Roads Media. Oh, Mike. Hey, Mike. Haunted Roads Media. That's Mike. He was on the show last week. Mike Ricksecker. Margarita Havath, Jill Forrett, Tiffany Twisted, Andrew Cox, Aaron Kemp, Diane Hilbert, Griffin Corcoran. Oh, and I know YouTube Live 1000. Thank you for joining us tonight. Putty Tat, meow meow, honey. See the kitty? See the black kitty? Frank Panion. And you know what? The last show of oh my God, in May, when I do the animal show, Aaron, let's see, Jason Walker, Lisa Knox. When I do the show on, oh God, Charmazing G, Nicole Burnett. Oh, I haven't seen you in a long time. Hi, Nicole. Everybody say hi to Mike, Haunted Roads Media. Roger Wolfstar 18. Carl White, Desert Deity. I will let you know where to send Knotted Inferno. I'll let you know where to send your pictures of your pets and that I'll have on my show. The show is in May. I'll remind you the week before. I'll put up my my Gmail. Royce will do that for me, and you can send me the pictures of your pets. And during the show, we will show your pets. Okay. And I don't care if it's a bird, a bunny, whatever, but all your pets, just send them to me. And I'll continue to show them. Love you, Jimmy, too, honey. Okay, so with that, is there anybody else who wants? Lynn Bowling, Shelly Phillips. So, okay, it's 8:03. I'm not going to be able to edit this. So, and make sure you guys have subscribed to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. So, guys, I'll see you next week. I'm excited about the show next week. You know how I love true crime. It's going to be an amazing show. And Jessica Luna. Oh, I got Luna down here. I wanted to show the little black kitty I had earlier. It was Luna. So, everybody, I'll see you guys next week. And I love you. Have a wonderful weekend. We had thunderstorms yesterday. Oh, my God, it was amazing. The house was shaking. I love it. So, I'll see you guys all next week. I love you. Take care of yourselves. Be careful. Have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend. And I love you. And I'll see you next week, okay? Night, everyone. Love you. Good night.